I'm here with Jereem Richards today, the Commonwealth champion, 200-meter medalist at the World Championship, the 400-meter indoor champion. Let's jump right into it. You went from Trinidad to JUCO to Alabama to pro, but the best part I want to talk about is that JUCO to D1 transition. What can other JUCO guys and girls do to make that transition?
I would say, first of all, it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
Coming from junior college, not really having all the resources, it was definitely difficult for us. I was blessed to be in a great junior college, South Plains College, with a lot of Caribbean people, Jamaicans, Bahamians, Bajans, and everything. So it felt culturally at home.
Yeah.
And even a lot of Trinidadian athletes. But, the transition from junior college to college for me, it was relatively a little bit easy, I would say, because I've been on senior teams as a junior at the junior level. I've been exposed to a high level of competition from at a young age, so it was relatively easy for me. One upside, I would say, of being a JUCO athlete, going to Division 1 college, is that you have that hunger.
Yeah.
You have that hunger and that drive, and you always want to prove yourself that you were better than JUCO.
Yeah,
You could run with these D1 guys, and I think I had that hunger, and a lot of JUCO athletes have that hunger going in. I remember when I first went to JUCO, one of my friends, Elton Walcott from Trinidad, he said, C's get degrees and D's don't go to D1. And that stuck with me.
That's a big
I did
piece.
everything that I could have done to pass all my classes, obviously, and I was able to make it there. But go out there and show them what JUCO athletes are made of. We struggle, but when you go to D1 and you have all these resources available to you, it's easy for you to run fast. And I think the transition actually was really easy, given that you had so much at your disposal, from workout drinks after to having a proper gym, all these things, tutors, all these things available that we probably didn't have in junior college. We had it this time around. So once you make it there, it's easy to be successful.
That makes sense. When you was at Alabama, you spent only 1 year at Alabama before you went pro. What was the one key ingredient in that? Because not many people can do that, one and done as soon as you come out of JUCO.
Actually, for me, the key ingredient was I went to the 2016 Olympics as a reserve on the 4x4 team for Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
I remember having to train up till the day of the heats, and I knew that the only opportunity I would have gotten to run was in the heats.
Yeah.
So I had to train and warm up with the team, everything up till that day.
Yeah.
And sadly enough, I didn't get to run. I was disappointed, but at the same time, I understood. Sadly enough, also we got disqualified in the heats. I remember you got your medal there. Also,
2016.
So, that was a big year. But what really was the changer for me, I saw my teammate Marshall Sideno make the finals in the 400 meters, break the national record that was standing from Ian Morris from Trinidad and Tobago for a very long time. Seeing all these professional athletes and seeing all these athletes there, and the level and the caliber of them and how hard they work to get there, and all these special things that happen, seeing Wade Van Niekerk break the world record.
That was a meet.
It was a big deal for me. And I remember standing in the stands specifically that day for the 400 final. I watched that race and I told myself I needed to be on that level too. So when I got back to Alabama, I worked really hard that off season. I was able to see the fruits of my labor the following year. I opened up with a PR in the 200 meters. I think I ran 20:52, if I'm not mistaken, and that was faster than my outdoor PR. So immediately I knew that I was gonna have a special year.
Because you won SEC indoors that year, right?
Yeah, I think I broke the national record, but it didn't count because it was on a flat track, 300 meters. But I think to this day, it might be the fastest time on a flat track, 20:34.
Oh, nice. I'm going to have to look that up after. Obviously, you had a lot of success. One of your major success was when you jumped over in 2022 into the 400 and you won the indoor 400 meter, which shocked a lot of people. Not a lot of people that know you. I know that you have a strong 400 background. This year so far, you haven't run any 400. Seems like you're not going to run any indoors, right?
Actually, I am going to World Indoors.
So you go?
Yeah, I leave on Monday.
Oh, wow.
I don't like to put my business out there too much, but
I understand.
I had a little bit of a setback. I was supposed to run in New Balance.
New Balance, yeah.
I had a setback in practice, so I had to play it very cautious.
Okay.
Training has been going well. I just had one little setback in practice, and I was like, let me just play it cautious and see how it looks. And I took it easy for a week, and then the next week I was good. This week, so far, it's going well. So by the grace of God, I would go and have a successful title defense in Glasgow, Scotland. So I'm excited because I'm in good shape.
Nice.
I haven't been able to show my shape yet, but I'm really excited to go and compete there.
Yeah, that's something I was thinking about too. I'm like, maybe focusing more on the Olympics. How does that, now you're competing at the World Indoors, how does that play into your overall plan with the Olympics coming on later this year?
It was always in the cards. It was always in the cards to compete at indoor meets this year. Definitely something I love doing. To me, the indoor 400 feels easier than the outdoor 4.
Yeah.
I feel like once you're fast, you're a little bit strong, you can control the race, the race would be yours. I just enjoy it a little bit more than outdoor because it feels like an easier race.
Yeah. I mean, and it has this excitement too, where you know you're cutting over and everything. So since we're talking about outdoors and the Olympics, you know, you're one of those guys who are always in the mix. But I know track people. I know you're a motivated guy. You don't want to be in the mix. You want to be the guy. But before we even jump into that, I need to ask you: 400 or 200? Which one this year?
You see, last year the plan honestly was to go through the season and whichever event seemed to be the better event, take up that event at the championship. I prefer the 200 meters. It's a better race for me. I think it's a beautiful race.
And the training easier.
The training definitely is way easier, but it's a beautiful race where you bring the guys that are strong and the guys that are fast and see who's the better athlete. And that's what I love about the two. Last year after the CAC games, I ran a PR 44.5, relatively easy, felt really good. I went home to national championships, and in the first round I got hurt. I tore my plantar fascia and I had to nurse it back for a month. With having a torn plantar fascia, I wasn't able to apply as much pressure to the ground that I normally would. Plan was, okay, you already qualified for the 2 and you already qualified for the 4, but because the 4 is a lower impact race in terms of power to the ground,
I understand.
Run the 400. So that's how I ended up running it last year. And it was a good experience. I was still satisfied with myself, just missing out on the final. It was hard. It was a hard pill to swallow, watching the 200 meters and not being a part of it, honestly.
Understood. So is that kind of the same plan for this year, where you're going to feel out, you know, which event is doing better?
Yeah, definitely. Feel out both events, run both events throughout the year, and whichever looks more feasible to compete, that would, you know, gain a medal, that's the event that I'm going to do. But I must say the 400 feel-wise, like in terms of who they have, I feel like the 400 is an easier event to get a medal.
That makes sense.
The 200, I believe that I have a good shot again. I'm a is the race that I love more. Just had to play my cards right this year and see how it goes, honestly.
The next question I'm going to have is probably going to be the most important question of the day. And it's going to be, who was the best curry in the Caribbean?
So, I have this argument with Janelle every now and again. And obviously, Janelle would say Jamaica has it. But in our defense, Trinidad and Tobago has a 50-50 population of Africans and East Indians. And our curry comes from the East Indians. So because we have East Indians, I think that our curry is better. I tried Jamaican curry and it is good.
It's great.
It's good, but I had to stick to home. Like,
I respect
I know, you know?
I respect it. I think everybody's going to say their curry. I mean, I talk to people from Guyana, you know, they're going to say they have the best curry. But wait, is it chicken curry or curry chicken?
It's curry chicken. It's curry chicken for sure.
It's settled. It's settled. But on a more serious note, you're obviously one of the best Trinidad sprinters right now, if not the best. You know, everybody's looking at you. When they think about Trinidad, they think about you. In the history of Trinidad and Tobago, what would you say is your top 5 all-time best men sprinters from Trinidad and Tobago? And it's fair, include yourself. So you need to drop some names.
Number 1, it has to go to Atto Bolden. He 2 sprinter. I would have to say Hazy Crawford. Number 3, I have to go Richard. Richard. Number 4, Wendell Motley. Number 5, I might have to put me.
Hey, not wrong with it.
I will put me. I mean,
you got the accolades.
Only because, I actually do have a lot of accolades. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I feel like I've been in the sport long enough and collected a lot of medals.
True. True.
At every level, made every final at every level. So
makes sense. You know, do you feel any pressure being that guy? The whole country looking at you?
To be honest with you, I did when I first got my first major medal in 2017. It immediately set in that every year they're gonna look for you to be that guy. So maybe my first 2 years pro, I had some nervousness, and you know, I spoke with my sports psychologist and my mom and my family and my people who actually care about me and my intimate circle. And, you know, they told me, regardless if you run fast, you run slow, we are here for you, we love you. So don't feel no pressure. And since then, I don't feel any pressure to, you know, compete or to be that person that the country is depending on to get a medal. So it's not something that I stress about or have pressure or anything about anymore.
It's good to have that good support system behind you, you know. That's
really, really important, honestly. Yeah,
that's very helpful, man. That's good to hear that, you're not pressuring yourself, because that gives you more freedom to train how you want to train without trying to force things and make it happen. In the same sense, the pressure is also good because it pushes you, you're not going to sit back and be lackluster because, you want more.
Because, I mean, with the pressure also, it pushes you to work harder, to become better, so You could use any situation in life, be it good or bad, to turn it to something positive, and that's why I like to do with pressure. Use it to something to turn it to something positive.
Exactly. Yeah. On my channel, one of the main things I like to focus on is the finances of the sport and talk about, branding and everything that goes in the back end. Something that I don't think we talk about a lot. But overall, do you think track and field athletes are paid fairly?
I don't think so. I think one of the biggest problems is that we all get paid differently.
Yeah.
And also, like other sports, you don't know what this person make. You don't know what that
Yeah,
person
exactly.
make. You don't know how much this person might get in a parent's fee. Like, you just don't know.
Yeah.
So because of that, I feel like there's a lot of gray area in what actually happens. So are we paid fairly? No. I wish it was a sport where we actually were paid fairly.
Why isn't it that you guys come together and say, hey, let's talk? It's just that nobody started the conversation. Are people just not comfortable talking about finances?
I feel like on the whole, people just, you don't talk about money with random people.
Yeah.
One, but two, if you're someone that actually makes good money,
Yeah.
you're not gonna mess up your bag for somebody else.
That's true.
And I think that is what's gonna be the biggest problem. If you already in a good spot, you're not gonna want to mess up your bag for someone else.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's one way to look at it. The next way is to make sure that you're probably getting paid fairly, because you could be the person who your bag you're getting less compared to a next person who you could be in more. I think that transparency would work. You look at other sports like NBA and NFL, those guys put their contract out in the public, and then so somebody could use that and be like, okay, if this guy's getting this, then I could get that. That helps the other person, but it also helps the person who did it initially, because they can set that as a benchmark, and now next year they can renegotiate for better.
Yeah. I think also there's like a lot of factors in terms of like what country you're from, how marketable are you as an athlete, how good is your social media, like all of these things come into play. I feel like once they set great criteria and great standard, and they say, well, okay, these are what we look for, and this goes for everyone, then it would be a little bit fair. I mean, more fair along the whole line, but I don't think most people wouldn't mess up their bag for something.
I mean, it's been like that for a while. I mean, I hope I can make some changes, by just being more transparent, making people more comfortable to talk about that type of thing, because at the end of the day, I understand everybody wants to eat, everybody wants to feed their family, but let's do it the fairest way. And, companies understand, if they have the upper hand, they're going to use it. But if athletes start working together, then, it's going to be beneficial for athletes, we're quote unquote the workers, Let's switch gears for a minute. So I want to talk about back in 2022, we lost Deon Lendore, who was a great Trinidad and Tobago sprinter. He went to Texas A&M. How did you feel initially when you heard that news?
It was very hard for me to believe. A mutual friend of ours, when it first happened, Daniel, from Canada, he called me and he relayed the information to me, and I was like, I don't believe it. And within 20 seconds on the phone with Daniel, our Deon and I, coach back home, called me. So I knew at that point it was to confirm that. So I was like, hold on, Daniel, I'll call her back. So I answered the phone, spoke to our mutual coach at home, and first thing I said, I was like, tell me it's not true. And he was like, yeah, it's true. It was one of the saddest moments ever. I couldn't believe it. Thank God I had my wife and my mom there with me. Because I've been real, I cried, because Deon was someone, when I came to college, Deon was there. Deon, you could call Deon every day and to ask Deon, well, Deon, I have a meet, how to run, what should I do, what to look forward to. And he would just be like that person to guide a big generation of our athletes through college, to go professional and everything like that. And to lose someone like that. And also, he was an integral spot on our 4x4.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So he's not somebody that's going to be easy to replace. He was a kind person. He was somebody that could make anybody laugh. He was cool with everybody on the circuit. Sometimes and this is kind of off topic, but sometimes I wish our culture in Trinidad and Tobago was a track-loving culture like Jamaica. Because I still feel like a lot of people didn't know who he was, didn't know the things that he achieved.
Which is crazy, considering what he's done.
First ballman winner ever. Like the things he's achieved, he has achieved for the short time that he was on this earth, and at a young age, he had an Olympic gold medal Olympic bronze medal as a freshman in college. A lot of times we don't appreciate people
until they're gone.
That's
the unfortunate truth.
I wish that is something we could change as people. Like, appreciate what people do now.
One thing I've noticed is that you've kept his name live on. I've seen that you used the mood set hashtag, which is something that Deon did, and famously his slingshot celebration. I've seen you've done that a couple of times. Talk to me about that a little bit. How is it important for you to keep that going?
For me, I just think the type of person he was, and I think because it was so hard for me to accept that he's not here anymore, goes to show that the life he lived was so lively that it's hard to believe that he's not there anymore.
Yeah.
You know, to me, he's one of those people that live forever.
Yeah.
It's important, I think, that he's remembered. And I remember when it happened, it was maybe the week of New Balance Grand Prix that year.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I was already nervous because this was my first professional indoor 400.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, I had to win this one for Deon.
Yeah.
And I did, and this was my first time running 45 indoor. I was like, well, okay, if I could do this in his honor, I was like, I should take it another step and do it in World Indoors. And I went home for his funeral before World Indoors, and I was one of the people who carried his casket to the cemetery.
Yeah.
And I remember one of his cousins came up to me and he was like, you're running the 400 in World Indoors? I said, well, yeah. He was like, go and win it for him, man. And I felt some type of pressure inside.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when somebody tell you to win it, now you have to win.
Exactly.
You had to win because one person tell you to win. And I felt some pressure. And I told myself, you know what? I'm training well. Let me just focus and do what I had to do. If I win, I win. If I don't win, it's okay still because this is my first time doing a 4 indoor.
Yeah.
On this level anyway. But it's a different pressure when you're expected to win also.
Yeah.
I was expected to win.
Yeah.
And to actually win it was just like all the weight went off my shoulders. I felt accomplished, obviously, because I was able to do it not just for me, not just for my country, but you know, for a friend, for somebody who helped me out for so many years. That medal meant a lot to me. And I feel like for people who didn't know who Deon Lendore was, after that meet, they knew who he was.
That was powerful,
and I
man.
think that
powerful.
That was my driving force behind it, for people to know who he was and what he stood for.
Shifting to a next gear, talk about another championship that you won was the Commonwealth. That was in the Gold Coast?
Yeah, so I won Commonwealth Games in Gold Coast, and then I won it again in Birmingham.
You won the Commonwealth, but it was a little dramatic in the race. Talk to me about that last 50 meters fighting to go to the home stretch and Zarnell Hughes from Great Britain. What happened there?
I remember coming off the turn and I saw how far he was.
Yeah.
And immediately it sunk down into my heart that, okay, you're going to come second.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what? Don't give up yet. Just keep trying. So I kept trying. And I realized, well, okay, I'm catching him. Getting closer to the line, we both started to kind of veer close to each other. But he was more on the inside and he veered closer to me than I was to him.
Yeah.
On catching him, I just felt a hand swing, hit me across the chest, and we both dipped. So I looked at him, he looked at me, but no malice, because I know Zarnell since Carifta days. I looked up at the clock, I saw his name come up, my name come up, we ran the same time, and I was like, well, it is where it is, I get second place. By the time we walk around, I saw that he got disqualified. I feel like it was the worst way to win being DQ because I didn't feel like I won. Fast forward 4 years later, in 2022 in Birmingham, now the pressure is on even more. Because it's the rerun of the race that happened 4 years ago.
I know you got to prove that you won legit.
In my mind, I'm like, if I don't win this race, they're going to say he was supposed to win the last time.
Yeah.
I wasn't really good shape that year. I mean, I ran 1983. For me to win that one too, I feel like I had the burden of Commonwealth 2018 on my chest for 4 years until we actually ran again.
That's crazy.
I know it's going to be like that every time we run against each other. I know it's going to be a high intensity rivalry every time we compete against each other. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to it.
You became a father recently. How has that life been incorporating that with your track and field life?
It's a big adjustment, I would say. It's a really, really big adjustment. People who trying to have kids out here, make sure you have your grandparents ready. Because it will be easy as an athlete. The biggest adjustment for me, I would say, was the first 5 weeks. I have a daughter, getting her accustomed to, you know, falling asleep, waking up, and me now having to try to help out as a dad, but still obviously focus on track and field.
Trying to stay in the routine.
Yeah, it was difficult for me the first 5 weeks or so. That was very, very tough. I would say 2-3 times, coach had to stop me and say, well, you're getting rest? And I'm like, yeah, coach, I'm resting, but I'm not, like I'm sleeping, but I'm not resting.
Yeah.
So like sometimes you sleep, but as soon as I hear the baby cry, you're up.
Oh, yeah.
And then you try to go to sleep because it's not my shift.
Yeah.
but you're still not getting the rest that you need.
Yeah.
So it was like that for me for about 5 weeks. And now it definitely easier. Thank God for my wife. She understands that, this is what I have to do. And
it's good to have that support system, that understanding partner when you're going through this journey, because it's different. It's not like a 9-to-5 job.
yeah, this is our everyday job. But when I come home from practice, I try to help out as much as I can, because I don't want her to feel like, I'm not, present.
Yeah, exactly. It makes
Trying to
sense.
help her and give her time, because you have a child, you don't have time for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't tell when last I get to play Fortnite with the boys.
Nah.
It's all part of it, though. I'm going to enjoy it. I love being a father. Every time I see a smile, it just warms my heart.
Yeah.
I just feel like I'll give anything in the world.
That's great, man. That's great to hear. Another thing that's a big part of your world is that I always notice that you posted, quotes that you want to share externally too with people. So I wanted to say, like, how does the Christianity and your track and field, how does those things mesh?
It meshes really well, I would say. I believe that everyone has a God-given talent. At no point you should take onto that talent as it's yours. Everything that I've won, everything that I've done in this track and field world, all the wins, all the losses, all the successes, all the medals, everything was I was able to do so with the blessing that I had from God. And at no point I'm going to, get cocky and say, well, it's me who do this.
Yeah.
I have a blessing from God, and I want the world to know that I have a blessing from God, and this is what He could do for anyone who is able to harness their gift and their talent and use it for Him. It keeps me grounded. And even if I'm not grounded, my family members would ground me.
That's good.
So,
That's good, man.
yeah.
So what's your overall goals for this season?
For sure, Lendore is definitely the short-term goal, but definitely the long-term goal is to get an Olympic medal. Is the only medal that I don't have in my collection.
Yeah.
I have Commonwealth medals, Lendore medals, World Championship medals. I want to be able to be one of those athletes who say, I've been to every championship and left with something.
Okay, that's true.
And that is the last one that I would want to get, and I would be able to, sit down and say, well, I was able to be one of those athletes to say that I was able to do it, So that is definitely the ultimate goal, but just stay healthy, keep working hard, trusting the process, trusting coach.
Thank you for coming out here. Looking forward to seeing you in that 400. I mean, I know you going between the 2 and the 4. I was a 400 and I want to see you in the 4. Thank you for coming out here and talking to me, man.
Yeah, man.
All right.